Put your locations in the comments as y'all are coming in. Let's see. Locations in the comments as y'all are coming in. Hope everyone's having a great Friday. And let's get our pinned comment over here. Locations in the comments as you all are entering. Hope everyone's having a great Friday. It's Friday already. We are less than a week away from Thanksgiving. Locations in the comments. Locations in the comments. Hope everyone's having a great Friday here. Today's topic is MAGA over? Is Make America Great Again over? Has it ended? Is the run over? Is it time for a move on to something new? We're going to get into that here today. And of course, we're going to get into why this is even the topic. Why is this being discussed right now? Because there were some people throwing this idea out there a few days ago online. We're going to discuss it, get into where they're coming from, why they're saying the things that they're saying, and what exactly it means, the conversation, whether you agree with it or not, what the conversation means. Let's make sure we are active where we're supposed to be. We are live on Rumble. Good morning, Rumble. Live on YouTube. Good morning, YouTube. Let me check and see if we are active on X. Yes, we are live on X. Good morning, X. We are live on LinkedIn. Good morning, LinkedIn. My name on LinkedIn and X and Rumble and YouTube is at Dre All Day. So if you're a LinkedIn user or Rumble or YouTube or X user, just look my name up, Dre All Day. I'm there. We are live on Facebook, Facebook/Work on Your Game University. If you're a Facebook user, that's Facebook/Work on Your Game University. We are live on Instagram at Dre Baldwin. Good morning if you're checking in over there on Instagram at Dre Baldwin, and we are live on TikTok at Work on Your Game. KingWorks21, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Congrats to you on the first comment, at least over there on Instagram. 140.6, Walnut Creek, California. Good morning. Dwayne Mitchell, Detroit is in the house. Leah, thank you for the heart early. Good morning to you. Carol Ann Collins, Newburgh, New York. Sherry, good morning from Arizona. Slit 282, good morning. Joanna, good morning. Nikki from Connecticut, good morning. Leah, thank you for the lightning bolts. 100 lightning bolts early. Bourbon for President from Louisiana. Good morning. Tiffany Cherie from Vegas. Shout out to Vegas. Chris Jazz, Massachusetts. Joanna, Rochester, New York. Laura Iggy Lover from Oklahoma. Shout out to Middle America. Slit said, good morning from Horse Branch, Kentucky. Said, about time you woke up. Me? I've been up for a long time. I've been up 5-6 hours by the time I start this live. Tina, good morning. 757 Virginia. Toadette checking in from Indiana. Someone's name is Kamala wants Democrats fear Trump. Well, we know he already won though, so they don't have to keep fearing him, I guess. Sherry 1967 said happy Friday. Jay Rocken, good morning from Delaware. XTR, good morning. Leather and Pearls for the heart, me and the Go Popular. Thank you. Good morning. Leather and Pearls, number 2 gifter badge. Congrats, XTR from Winters, California. I've not heard of that town. Shout out to Winters, California. Skit 282, thanks for the number 3 gift badge. Congrats as well. Tara Mills checking in from South Florida. Shout out to South Florida. I just saw this article that the West Palm area is trying to lure and recruit New York, what are they calling it? People who are fleeing New York. What do you call those people? Asylum seekers. New York City asylum seekers who are running from Zohran Mamdani. They're trying to recruit them to come live in Palm Beach because people who live in New York who are leaving, they assume these people have some money and they can bring their money down to Palm Beach, even better for Palm Beach. So they are trying to recruit. South Florida is actively recruiting. They have billboards in New York City that are sponsored by West Palm Beach, telling people in New York to come move to West Palm Beach. I think it's a good idea to move from New York to West Palm Beach. I would do that. But shout out to everybody in New York who's sticking around, who's going to weather the storm. And shout out to people moving to South Florida. Shout out to South Florida as usual. I live in South Florida, so shout out to South Florida. Leather and Pearls, thank you for the lightning bolt. Jake Miller said, is MAGA dead? No, but I wish its members were. Okay, fair enough, Jake. Leona Lever, Massachusetts. Good morning. Andrea Levitt, Good morning from Massachusetts. Christian, happy Friday. Checking in from Delaware. Shout out to Delaware. Okay, so the topic here today is MAGA Dead. Why are we talking about this? So here's what happened. A little over a week ago, November 12th, President Donald Trump took the unprecedented step of sending a formal letter to Israeli President Isaac Herzog. I don't know Isaac, but he's the Israeli president. And he urged a full pardon for a person who we do know, Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu. This is what Trump asked for. He sent the letter to the president of Israel asking him to fully pardon Bibi Netanyahu because Netanyahu is in a corruption trial right now, for those who don't know. This trial has been going on since 2020. You ever want to know why people who get into legal troubles end up losing all their money? Did y'all hear the story that Kevin Spacey said he's essentially homeless right now? Y'all heard that story? I saw it trending on X early this morning. That Kevin Spacey, the actor, said he is essentially homeless because he had to fight all these legal cases. He had a bunch of sexual transgression cases that he had to fight. He was cleared in all of the cases, but the amount of money that he spent on the legal charges basically destroyed him because he couldn't get jobs. He got blacklisted from the industry, and he was spending all his money on the legal case, but no money was coming in. And he lost all his money in that. I'm bringing that up to tell you all, if you want to know why people lose money in legal cases, because the lawyers bill by the hour, and they slow cases down. One side or other is going to slow the case down on purpose, trying to financially drain the other side. And Bibi Netanyahu has been on trial since 2020. I don't know what his money looks like, but he's been fighting this case for 5 years. Now, Trump previously made this plea deal as an off-the-cuff statement when he was talking to Israel's parliament, but this time he is doing it officially. He inserted himself directly into a sovereign allies judicial process. He is officially asking Israel to pardon Bibi Netanyahu. Now, some people had some issues with him getting involved in this. Even though Trump framed it as a move to unite that country after what he calls historic peace achievements, including the expanded Abraham accounts and the 2025 ceasefire that ended the Gaza conflict, or quote unquote ended it. Now, the letter immediately ignited a bunch of global backlash. A lot of people did not like that Trump sent this letter. And let's talk about why that is, because it exposes deep split within Trump's own base, MAGA that is. It energized his critics and it raised alarms internationally about the U.S. overreaching into shit that the U.S. shouldn't be involved in, which kind of just the fact that there's a conversation about that makes Trump look questionable, because Donald Trump's entire frame from the very point that he came in was America first. We're going to focus on America. MAGA literally means make America great again. We're going to get out of other people's business and we're going to focus on what we need to do, pull ourselves out of other people's conflicts. Now he is inserting himself into something that has nothing to do with the United States. Now, maybe he has a great relationship with Bibi Netanyahu. I'm assuming he does. That's why he's asking for the pardon. But what the hell does that have to do with making America great? What the hell does that have to do with America first? These are important questions that need to be addressed. Now, when he did this, supporters see it as Trump defending an embattled ally because he is facing lawfare. So some people think that Bibi is facing lawfare over in Israel, and that's why Trump is getting involved, because Trump faced his own lawfare here in the USA. But detractors, on the other hand, see it as some form of authoritarianism, foreign meddling, and proof that Trump prioritizes his friend Bibi over American interests. Now, both of those are different ways of framing it. The truth is somewhere in between the two, because we have to look at the nuance of it, because Bibi, if he's one of Trump's friends, I'm assuming that he is, the only reason Trump's asking for the pardon, because he's trying to help his friend out. There's nothing wrong with trying to help your friend out, while at the same time, optically, this doesn't look good for Donald Trump, because everybody knows who Bibi is. They know what country he represents. They know where he's from. And they know that he has consistently come to the United States saying, we need your help. We need your help. We need your help. And now here it is, Donald Trump trying to do something to help this guy out. When is the shoe going to be on the other foot? This is a question that some are asking. And the more important question, if you're an American citizen who's focused on what's happening in America, why the hell is our president focused on trying to get pardoned some guy in a country that has nothing to do with us? He doesn't live here. He hasn't, from what we know, isn't doing anything directly to help us out. Why is Donald Trump getting engaged and involved in this? That is a question. We're going to address it. And people are saying, once they saw this, that Donald Trump seems to be, this is what some of his detractors were saying, even some people on the right, they're saying that this guy is more focused on other countries and his friends in other countries. Then he's focused on American interests and making America great and being America first, as he claimed that he was going to be. And this is why he's getting the pushback. And people are saying this signals the official end of the MAGA movement, because not MAGA anymore. People are saying it's MIGA or MEGA, which instead of being America, it's Israel. Instead of making America great, they're trying to make Israel great. This is what many people have been saying about the current Trump administration, basically the entirety that has been in this second time around. We're going to get into all that here today. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year pro athlete, author of a few books, done a few TEDx talks. I run this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. Our focus right now is on the Power Presence Protocol. You can see that manual right here behind me. If you're watching on TikTok, it's right there. If you're on Instagram, it's right there. And if you're on YouTube, Rumble, LinkedIn, Facebook, it is right there. This manual is about helping you master the 85% of communication that is nonverbal. If you are a leader, if you are a person of authority, or you want to be one of these things, if you're a salesperson, you're a person who communicates with other human beings in any way, shape, or form, verbally or non-verbally, understand that 85% of what you're communicating are things that you do not say. They are not spoken, but people are reading them and they're making decisions about you based on these readings. And if you are not in control of that conversation, you can be making a poor first impression on other people and don't even realize that you're doing it. So by the time you start talking, you already lost the game. If, on the other hand, you make a great first impression on others through your nonverbal communication, you have already won the game before you say anything. And anything you say is only a verification and multiplier of what you have already communicated without talking. The challenge for most of you is that you have no idea that this is even the case, that 85% of your communication is not what you say. And even if you were aware of it, you have no idea what to do with that information and how to actually start making it work in your favor. Here's the good news. I created a whole program around teaching you that. As you can see, that manual right there, that manual is, as of our next round of printing, 381 pages. There are no photos in that manual. I'm saying that to say this is serious game. This is like an SOP for communication, an SOP for power, for authority, for leadership, for instant credibility with anybody who you come across, so that when you do start actually doing things and you start actually saying things, they start multiplying what you have already proven, what you've already shown, and imprint it on other people. So that means your sales go up. That means your leadership is more powerful. That means you have a stronger aura. That means you make more impact and you leave a stronger impression on other people, even if you never say a single word to them. All of that is part of the Power Presence. I have a mastermind program all around that where I will personally coach you on how to use this in your life and in your business. You want to learn more about that, go to the link in my profile, which is powerpresenceprotocol.com/mastermind, or just powerpresenceprotocol.com. You can get more information on how to get engaged and how to have me as your direct coach. Again, the link in my profile on whatever app you are watching this on, or is in the pinned comment or in the description on whatever app you're on. Now, getting into the topic here today, which is MAGA dead? Is MAGA completely over now that Trump seems to be focused on MAGA instead of MAGA? Now, Trump's move reinforces his image. Some say, this is his supporters. They say he's a bold foreign policy deal maker. He's just trying to make a deal. Donald Trump loves making deals. He wrote a book called The Art of the Deal. And listen, he's probably done some business. Actually, not probably. America has done a lot of business with Israel over the years. So Donald Trump trying to help out somebody who's helped America in some way in the past, or maybe even helped him personally. There's not actually anything wrong with this on the surface. He is positioning himself as the only leader capable of delivering and creating peace in these places and protecting allies. And the United States and Israel look at each other as allies. I think we can agree to that. Whether you like it or not, we can agree that it's true. Now, Donald Trump is directly tying this pardon request to expanding the Abraham Accords and the Gaza ceasefire that he helped broker. So he's saying this is part of the bigger picture. I'm going to try to get Bibi pardoned. At the same time, this is part of the bigger picture deal of me trying to stop the war over there and for me expanding the Abraham Accords. This is the way Trump is framing it, and the way his supporters who are still riding with him through this are continuing to frame it. However, there's a counterpoint. It crosses a diplomatic red line. All right, U.S. presidents almost never interfere in legal affairs of democratic allies. So if there's another country out there, they have a democratic process and there's a legal affair, U.S. presidents almost never go and jump into that and say something or do something or make a request. Seems like Trump is meddling. All right, this looks like meddling in something that doesn't have anything to do with what your actual job description is. And this point, I would have to agree with. This point I'm going to have to agree with, because Donald Trump's job description is to be the leader of the United States of America. Even if in the process of doing your duty of leading the United States of America, you may do a business deal or make a phone call or send a letter or make a visit to another country because something that country is doing or something we're doing in cahoots with them, working with them, we may get involved, and Donald Trump needs to go have a conversation, or Barack Obama or Joe Biden or whoever needs to go have a conversation because they're part of the deal of all the stuff that we're doing. That part is fine. But this part right here has nothing to do with America. Whether Bibi Netanyahu is convicted or not, what the hell does that have to do with the United States? There's no way that Donald Trump can explain. Well, he did explain it. Actually, I can't say no way. His detractors are saying that there is no way he could explain how him asking for Netanyahu to be pardoned has anything to do with him doing his official duties as president. Because again, what does getting Netanyahu pardoned have to do with any business that America is doing with Israel? That's a legitimate question that people are asking. What does it have to do with anything? So even the president of Israel noted that these pardons require a formal request and it usually follow conviction and remorse, and none of this applies. This is what the current president is saying right now. These things don't apply. No conviction has happened. No remorse has been shown, and you're asking for a pardon, and this kind of is not adding up. So what I will say is this is probably, I would say not probably, take the probably away. This is Donald Trump doing what Donald Trump does, which is doing something, whether formally or informally, social media or in official documentation, drawing attention to a subject through his own attention. When he draws attention to something, everybody else pays attention. That's how you know he's the one who's commanding the room. And he is pointing out that he thinks Bibi is being lawfared over there in Israel. That alone, just pointing it out and getting people to notice it, could be enough to maybe save Bibi Netanyahu, just because he's drawing the attention. Whether the official pardon is granted or not, because it's not like they have to do it. But whether it's granted or not, Donald Trump has already made an impression and got everybody talking about it. We're talking about it right now. A lot of people had a lot to say about this last week when Donald Trump went and did this. Now, this letter, on the other hand, supporters say it strengthens Donald Trump's bond with the pro-Israel evangelical voters who are a key part of his base. So Donald Trump is playing Donald Trump games, the politician playing political games. Now, Donald Trump is not your traditional American politician, but he is a politician. Once you get in politics, you're a politician. You try to do politics, you're a politician. So many people who are Trump supporters, MAGA supporters, or at least Trump voters, even if they're not MAGA supporters, America First supporters, they are supporters of Bibi Netanyahu and supporters of Israel. And Bibi Netanyahu, his name is forever connected to that country. So Donald Trump may look at this as, let me support this guy, because a lot of people who support me because I'm friends with this guy and I support this guy. So this guy's in trouble. I'm going to get myself involved, help that guy out. This is Bibi we're talking about. I'm going to help Bibi out. And by helping Bibi out, all of my supporters will see me as a ally of theirs, and therefore they will follow my lead the next time I need them to do something, such as vote for my people in the 2026 midterms or vote for my successor in the 2028 general election. So this is Donald Trump playing a longer game, and I completely understand this game. This is the reason why, just so far, this is what I've said so far. This is exactly why politics is a tricky game, because no matter what you do in politics, somebody's going to be pissed off at what you did. Somebody's going to love what you did. And there's no way you can please everybody at the same time, not with the same behavior. It is not possible. So when you get into politics, understand every decision that you make, you're going to be making new fans and you're going to be making new enemies. Or at least people who pretend to be fans or pretend to be enemies. They're fans or enemies until the next time they need something from you. And this is the reason why politics is such a dirty game, especially as it currently is constructed in the United States of America. It's a very dirty game. There are no clear-cut answers. There's too much money involved in it. People have full-time jobs working there, so they're not trying to leave. And this, you got the lobbyists there, and it creates this whole cesspool or swamp, if you will, that makes politics in America nothing like what the founding fathers, the framers of the United States, had in mind when they created the government. They understood the necessity of a government, but it wasn't supposed to be the way that it is currently constructed. And this is the reason why somebody like myself, I wouldn't want to get into politics because, again, for everything I just told you, it's an extremely dirty game. There's a lot of access there. There's a lot of money there. But in exchange for what? What do you have to pay in order to get it? So Donald Trump's doing what he has to do. He wants to solidify his base, and Donald Trump needs to solidify his base as much as possible between now and November of 2026, because if those midterms don't go right for the Republican Party, Donald Trump will not get anything done for the final 2 years of his administration. That one is a guarantee. You can write that one down in ink. If the midterms don't go well for the Republicans, i.e., if they were to lose both sides of Congress, they lose the House and they lose the Senate, Donald Trump gets nothing done for the final 2 years of his administration. Absolutely nothing. And the Democrats have already decided he's not getting nothing done. As a matter of fact, he will get something done because he's going to go through a third impeachment trial if they lose both sides of Congress. That one, again, I'll guarantee that one. Sometimes I'm giving you a theory, sometimes an opinion, sometimes just a guess. This one's a guarantee. If the Democrats win the House and they win the Senate, Donald Trump will get impeached for a third time. That's a guarantee. He's not going to get removed, but he will get impeached. And number two, he's not going to get anything done legislatively for the rest of that 2 years. The Democrats won't get anything done either, but nobody's going to get anything done. And we all voted for these people. So this is something that all of you need to keep in mind. Donald Trump is thinking long term here and short term. Now, the evangelicals, they say 80 million voters are evangelicals, about half of the voting base. They overwhelmingly see Bibi as a biblical protector of Israel and respond strongly to Trump's support of him. I understand. Donald Trump might not even like the fact that America and Israel are tied in so much together. He may not like that. This is just a theory. But at the same time, he understands, hey, these people have resources. These people have votes. These people have influence. And if I want access to resources, votes, and influence, every politician needs all three. Then, listen, I got to stand next to this guy and support this guy in ways that I can. That makes sense. He got to play the game. Again, you want to get into politics, you got to play the game. Any of you who wants to get involved in politics, especially on the federal level or at a state level or at the big city level, you must understand this. It is not just about let me just do all the right things and help people out and get into this for all the right reasons. You may get in for the right reasons. You may have intention of doing all the right things. You may have an intention of helping people out. You really want to help people out. Is when you get on the inside, you realize it's not as easy as it looked in the brochure. That you have to go through this person and that person to get anything done. You don't have unlimited resources. So all your brilliant ideas that you had during the campaign, you can't always execute on those brilliant ideas because you don't have the resources to do so. And no matter what decision you make, somebody's going to be pissed off at you. So you can't please everybody. And the example that I often use to help you understand what toll this has on a person is look at Barack Obama when he first got elected, and then look at Barack Obama after his term was up. Do you notice the aging on his face? It was only 8 years. 8 years shouldn't age you that much. Barack Obama aged 25 years in 8 years. And then ever since he got out of office, it was like he's aging in reverse again. Now he's starting to look and feel a little bit younger and lighter. But during that 8 years, he aged a lot because he was dealing with a ton of stress based on the things that I just told you. There are no right answers in politics. There's no answer that's going to make everybody happy in politics, not a single one. And Donald Trump is living this right now. This is the reason why a lot of his MAGA supporters are getting mad about the fact that he seems to be on some MAGA shit right now. Now, this alienates, I just touched on this, the isolationist wing of MAGA. Isolationist wing of MAGA is simply people who say they want to go to the extreme of what Donald Trump says when he says make America great again or America first, which is let's focus only on America, the United States, and not focus on any other country. We're not even taking their calls, let alone are we focusing on it. There are people in the MAGA party who really, really bought into that message from the very beginning. I've explained this many times in the past. When Donald Trump came in talking about, of course, the economy, every politician does that. And then the other thing being, we are not going to allow our borders to be wide open and allow people to just come into our country because they're taking our jobs. They are attacking our women and children. They are leeching off of our resources and not giving back in any way to the community of the country. There's a bunch of people who really strongly took to that message of Donald Trump because their alternative was on the Democratic side, people saying, well, not saying, but basically doing, we're going to open the border. We're going to allow in as many people as possible, all under the guise of we're a country of immigrants. So we just got to let these people in. In case any of you never heard me say it before, we are not a country of immigrants. We are a country of citizens. Immigrants want to become citizens. They don't want to just be an immigrant. They want to become a citizen, which means they have full rights here. They have full access to everything here. And they don't have to leave at any point if you're a citizen. This is your country. You live here. The Democratic Party has been on this whole concept a long time. Donald Trump just staked the opposite claim and said, we're going to defend our borders and we're not going to allow the borders to be wide open and allow people to just pour in here, as was happening during the second half of the Biden-Harris administration. That was absolutely happening. All right, that's me talking there. That's not Donald Trump talking. But Donald Trump's pretty much said the same thing. So these are the isolationists. These are the people who say just focus on the United States and don't focus on anybody else. Many younger conservatives oppose any type of foreign entanglements. and some older conservatives, but younger conservatives specifically don't like these foreign entanglements. So, for example, people like Mr. NF, I cannot say his name on this app because his name is actually banned. NF, what happened here? Oops. My sound still good on Instagram? I don't know, my sound disconnected there. All right, my sound still good on Instagram. Can y'all hear me on IG? For some reason, it switched over to my microphone for no reason. So, Mr. NF, the young guy from Chicago who has the movement of, it starts with the letter G. Yeah, those guys. So he went viral for saying MAGA is dead. He accused Donald Trump of abandoning America first to focus on, again, another country. And I've already contextualized and explained to you why there are a lot of people who feel this way. That this guy's not America first anymore. So America first is like this break off movement that is not connected to MAGA. Some are trying to make it seem that way because Donald Trump is not being America first anymore. He's focusing on something that ain't America first. And this is the reason why many people who are on the right, but not really feeling Donald Trump right now, they're still on the right. They're not leaving the rights to go to the left, but they're not feeling what Donald Trump is doing right now. So they're saying like, this guy he's past his expiration date, past his shelf life. That's what some are saying. Do I agree with that? I wouldn't go that far, but I understand they're using the hyperbole because they're pissed off about what he is doing or what it looks like he's doing. Now, older traditional Republicans, some say, of that group, some of them say, this just reinforces Donald Trump's geopolitical strength. His geopolitical strength is that he can end wars, he can get involved in situations and be this diplomat who solves problems that otherwise couldn't have been solved without him. And he sees himself as doing more of that and getting involved in this situation. And they see a guy like Bibi as a wartime type of leader, not a peacetime leader, but a wartime leader. And Trump's support for him, as they see this as consistency with his first term policies, is that he has some friends out there. He wants to help his friends out. And if it means going to another country and asking for a pardon for somebody who he thinks strategically long-term could help this country out or, help himself out, and Donald Trump might do that. I understand. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying I understand. And politics, again, I'm going to say this over and over and over again. I've already said it, but I'm going to keep saying it, not just today, but forever. In politics, there are no right answers. You got to pick the answer that you're best able to stomach the flip side of the choice that you made. There's always a flip side. If you choose to do this, then a bunch of people are going to be happy and a bunch of people are going to be mad. You choose to do that, a bunch of people are going to be happy, a bunch of people are going to be mad. No matter what you do, a bunch of people are going to be mad, a bunch of people are going to be happy. So there's no right answer. There's no one answer that makes everybody satisfied because there's too many people to satisfy. Now, critics call this rank hypocrisy. They say Trump is being a hypocrite because he called his own indictments witch hunts, yet he's interfering on another leader's corruption case. So how are you, if it's a witch hunt, why would you interfere? Because who intervened and got involved when Donald Trump was on trial? The answer was nobody. Everybody sat around and watched it and wanted to see what was going to happen with Donald Trump. They wanted to see what was going to occur. And Donald Trump went through the cases. He technically, at the time of original judgments, he got the felonies case and he got the fraud case. So it was money that he owed and these felony convictions he got on his record. The Georgia case basically fell apart, and the Jack Smith case fell apart when he won the election. He went through those on his own, though. He paid his lawyers and he just went through it himself. And people are saying, well, if you went through it yourself because you felt like they were trying to witch hunt you, Donald Trump, then you succeeded in getting through those, and now here you are president again. If that's what happened with you, why are you trying to put your hands into this Bibi Netanyahu situation? Because I don't think he did anything to help you when you were on trial, number one. And number two, if he's really having all fair go against him, let him deal with it. And if he comes out on the other end and ends up winning in the long run, as you did, then he'll look just as good as you did. But if you get involved, well, now you're tainting the process. You're tainting the process by getting involved. So Netanyahu is accused of bribery, fraud, and regulatory favors in exchange for gifts and media influence. So let me say again what he's accused of. Bribery, fraud, and regulatory favors in exchange for gifts and media influence. Let me let you all in on a secret that shouldn't even be a secret to you. Any politician at the federal level has engaged in these things. I'm not saying they're all guilty of a crime, but I'm also not saying that they're not. All right. Any politician who has been at the federal level has engaged in these things on some level. Bribery, somebody giving you something for you to do something for them. Any type of fraud, which is some type of dishonest scheme that maybe works for you, but you're not actually supposed to do it. And regulatory favors. In other words, we're going to turn a blind eye to something your company's doing wrong, or we're going to pay a whole lot of attention to something that one of your opponents is doing. Those are regulatory favors in exchange for gifts and media influence. So you give me something that I can use, or you give me some influence with the media, then I'll give you something that you want. This is normal quid pro quo in politics. So Bibi Netanyahu being accused of this is a reflection of show me the man, I will show you the crime. And if someone is president for or in charge for as long as Bibi has been and influential for as long as he has been, he's got going on 30 years plus of influence. Guaranteed you have engaged in all of these things, maybe unbeknownst to you. Maybe you knew exactly what you were doing. But if you got brought to trial and all your dirt got aired out, every president we've had over the last 30 years could get convicted because they all have done things like this: bribery, fraud, regulatory favors in exchange for gifts and media influences. This is just three things. There's 30 other things every president engages in that we don't know about for sure, but we know. So why they're doing this to Netanyahu, this is show me the man, I will show you the crime. That's what's happening with Bibi Netanyahu right now. And that's unfortunate for him, but this is the deal. You step up to the top of the game, then you put a target on your back. That's what Bibi is dealing with right now. Now, Trump supporters see the parallels between his prosecutions and Netanyahu's trial, as I already explained. These are both deep state lawfare because Trump has tied his personal fate to that of foreign nationalist leaders under legal scrutiny. This is what people are saying. He's tied his fate to other leaders in the past, so he wants to help out some of these Explain. These are bad optics internationally for Donald Trump. He's got to take the bad press that comes with this. I'm sure Donald Trump is pretty used to bad press by this point. He's got to take the bad press because it looks like he is meddling in a foreign trial to help a political ally. And again, on a basic level, is there anything wrong with Donald Trump getting involved in a foreign trial to help a political ally? Not really. But at the same time, Donald Trump has framed himself as make America great again and America first. Neither one of these have anything to do with America, at least on the surface. So optically, this looks bad because people are going to look at this and say, okay, what the hell? What I just explained. Now, I've already given you the context to where this could very well be a play to help America because it's a long-term game, but do most people think in that way? The answer is no, they don't. So major outlets like BBC, Reuters, CBS, they highlighted the unprecedented nature of this request because this is not a normal thing that happens. Donald Trump could ask for some help with Netanyahu's trial, but he would do it in a more informal way. This formal letter is an unprecedented move, what he did. Now, the letter further cements Trump as the unquestioned leader of the pro-Israel right in the United States of America. I didn't know there was a pro-Israel right, but clearly there is. And Donald Trump has put himself at the head of that table, which makes sense. Now, many donors, people like Miriam Adelson and lawmakers like Matt Gaetz, praise this as decisive leadership. And depending on who you listen to in politics, you can take every single thing that happens, especially at the federal level, and there's going to be known people who say this is an amazing thing to happen. There's going to be known people who say this is a terrible thing that's occurring, and it's the last thing that's ever going to occur because doomsday is soon to follow. So depending on who you listen to, people can make anything sound good or make it sound terrible. This is the reason why you got to be critical thinkers. You got to learn to look at situations from multiple angles to find out what you really think and just get the full information and then see what everybody else says. Now, this deepens the cultural fracture inside the Republican Party. And there is a cultural fracture in the Republican Party. There is infighting happening within MAGA right now because where people stand on Israel is a litmus test for dividing the evangelicals and the national populace. There are people on one side that say we got to support them. There are people on the other side that say, think of the Ted Cruz, Tucker Carlson interview that happened several months ago. And neither one of them is from Israel, but Ted Cruz had a whole lot to say. But go listen to it yourself. Polls show that Gen Z conservatives, younger conservatives, are 60% anti-Israel. And that's a major turnout risk for 2026 because if those people who have the right to vote, if they believe that Donald Trump is pro-Israel and they're anti, then why would they go out and vote for any Republican? Would they go out and vote? Maybe they'll vote for a Democrat. Why would they go out and vote for any Republican when they're not even feeling what the Republicans who are currently in office are doing? This is the biggest issue I told you all that happens with voting. The Republicans and the Democrats, their biggest challenge is not how do I get somebody who's Democrat to vote Republican or vice versa, because people are pretty much what they are. There's a small slither of people who are independent voters who could go either way every election. Then there's a whole bunch of people on either side who will always vote for that side. The problem is they don't actually show up and vote. So to get people to vote, you got to get them excited. And if Donald Trump can't get people excited about his current plan and what he plans to do in the second half of his administration, then they're going to have trouble winning in 2026. And again, they lose both sides of Congress. Donald Trump's going to head for a third impeachment guaranteed. Now, for Trump loyalists, this looks like strength, loyalty, and a willingness to defy global opinion. Okay. Trump loyalists, that's the way they see it. That's the way they want to frame this. It reinforces that he protects his friends. And I do believe Donald Trump protects his friends because in that same book, Think Big and Kick Ass, where he talks about getting revenge on people who don't support him, he also talks about how he helps out people who do stick by him. People who stay by him when things are going bad or when he's being attacked, he remembers that. Many of you may remember Donald Trump telling the story. I don't know who told it. Maybe it was Trump's son. When they were going down that escalator 10 years ago, he said to his kids, now we're going to find out who our real friends are. And Donald Trump operates from that frame. Your real friends are the people who stick by you when everybody else is bashing you. And if everybody's bashing Bibi, Donald Trump standing next to him, then Donald Trump is showing Bibi and Israel, hey, I'm a real friend to you. So, wink, wink. When that call comes in a couple of years, you know what you need to do. So Donald Trump might just be buying some loyalty from Bibi right now because he can use it as leverage. I would think the reality skews towards that. K. Marie said he never talks about revenge, he talks about justice. Who are you talking about when you say he? I hope you're not talking about Donald Trump, because Donald Trump has an entire chapter in his book dedicated to revenge. It's literally called Always Get Revenge. So hopefully you're talking about somebody else. Now, for independents and Trump skeptics, it reinforces the fear, tricky word there, fear, of Trump using his presidential power to protect political allies, including himself. So basically, people are looking at the exact same situation from two different frames. And some saying this is amazing because he's doing this. Some saying it's terrible because he's doing the exact same thing. So again, it just depends on how you feel about Donald Trump, how you contextualize it. Now, Democrats are going to use this to argue with Trump that Trump will pardon his own circle if he gets reelected in 2028. I don't have a problem with that because Joe Biden pardoned a bunch of people before he got to office, didn't he? Or am I just imagining that? Didn't Joe Biden pardon a bunch of people? He preemptively pardoned a bunch of people who weren't even facing charges before he left office in January of this year. Didn't that happen? Can somebody confirm or deny that Joe Biden do a whole bunch of pardons of people who didn't even have charges ahead of him leaving office in January of 2025? Or maybe it was in December of last year. But everybody can agree that this happened. So if Donald Trump wants to do it, so what? Now, Donald Trump pardoned everybody from January 6th. Elections have consequences, folks. That's the answer I'll give to that. Elections have consequences. We voted this guy president. He gets to do what he wants to do. Now, Donald Trump didn't just send a letter. Here's the final point. He cracked open an ideological fault line, some say, because, again, this hadn't happened before. This solidifies his standing with some of his strongest supporters who have resources and influence. But at the same time, he risked fracturing the coalition that delivered his 2024 win. So, again, there's no right answer here. Because had he gone the other way, then those supporters would be very, very mad at him. And internationally, he raises the question of how far the United States will go to influence the legal fate of foreign leaders. I say the United States will go as far as they want to go. There are plenty of people out there who, if the United States doesn't want that person to be in charge, you won't be in charge. Can anybody name some countries? Can anybody name some countries? Put the names of countries in the comments that in the last 25 years, the United States decided we're going to get involved because we either want this person in charge or we don't want somebody in charge. So we're going to get involved. We're going to do what we got to do, up to and including taking lives. Can y'all name a country? Can y'all name a country where the United States got involved at that level in the last 25 years? Can anybody put a name of a country in the comments where the United States did this? Because there is more than one. So if Donald Trump is doing it, my answer is, so what? So James T. Stardust. Okay, so a bunch of you started with Iraq. That's one of them. Nice 6107. Ukraine is another one. You have Libya is another one. Ghana is another one. So there's been plenty of them. Marky Man said Panama. Yeah, so the United States does this all the time. Why is it all of a sudden the big thing is Donald Trump's involved? It's not. The United States does this all the time. We decide we're going to get involved in another country's business because we like this leader or we don't like that leader, and up to and including many of the countries you all named, lives got taken. We're not talking about somebody going to jail or writing a letter. We're talking about lives getting taken. And the United States has been completely okay with it when it's what the administration in power wants to happen. Right now, the administration in power is Donald Trump and the political right and MAGA, or America First by extension, whichever one you want to call it. This is what it is. Elections have consequences. All this said, let's get into the comments. I don't need to take a restroom break here today, so let's just get straight into it. Let me fire up my soundboard and let's see. Let's play just for sake of playing them. A couple of the sounds. Ad hominem will be.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
That's when somebody attacks someone on a personal level without addressing their point. If you use a non sequitur or something that just doesn't make sense, then I have my catch-all, which is.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Or sometimes, if it's a more lighthearted one, I will use this one for the same reasons.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
If someone makes an appeal to emotion that is not based in logic, I'll use this one.
Emotional, damn it!
If you give a loaded question or loaded statement, sometimes I'll use this one. If you make a really good point, you'll get this. If you say something that is appeal to ridicule, you're trying to be funny, or even if you're actually funny, you might get this one.
Oh, I like your funny words, Magic Man.
And if you use a straw man, that means you are misrepresenting someone's position, mine or anyone else's, in order to make it easier to argue against, then you'll get this one.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Now that the ground rules are laid, let's get into it. Let's see what we got over on. I didn't see any comments come through on Instagram. Let's see what we got going on TikTok. I'm reading from the oldest to the newest, folks, so don't think I'm ignoring your comments. I'm just reading from the oldest to the newest. Let's see. I think I can see all the comments here today. So, where was I? Breeze 668 said Kevin is on the list. Who's Kevin and what list? Marky Man, good morning. Jan Jr. says, would you hang out with someone accused of being a child monster? Would I hang out with someone accused of being a child monster? Would I hang out with them and I knew they were accused? It depends on who the person was. Depends on who the person was, what the accusation is, and why are you asking that question? Turner Frank Washington, good morning. Wifey Tip said people need to get over it. He's allowed to write letters. All the presidents do this. Well, what he wrote the letter for is unprecedented. All the presidents don't do this. That's the reason why it became a bigger story. Pietro Calliope, thanks for the follow. Gina Marie said they're always saying something. Well, this is what the free press does. It's supposed to say stuff. We want them to say stuff. B. Ray, thanks for the follow. Northern Pearl said world concerns is about making America great again. Maybe. Dime said, I just want him to bring down the price to everyday things like he campaigned. Well, Dime, if you followed the campaign and you thought that he was actually going to bring down the price, well, you got sold a hill of beans because the president can't bring down prices. The president can talk about things that lead to things that lead to things that lead to things that lead to the price coming down. But the president themselves cannot bring down prices. They can campaign on vote for me because the current administration or my opponent, they either did or they're going to do things that are going to make things worse or keep them bad as they are. But if you vote for me, then I'm going to come up with a plan that fixes what's bad and makes it a little bit better or ameliorates the situation in some way. But the president doesn't have the power to bring down prices. They only have the power to change people's psychology around the prices, which can lead to prices coming down, or it can just lead to people feeling better about the fact that the prices are still high. Kristen, thanks for the follow. G Black, thanks for the heart. Sam said, Lindsey Halligan about to be disbarred. Yeah, we'll see. That's an ongoing situation. We'll see if that happens. Noel said, good morning. Leah said, everybody please tap. Yes, everybody please tap the screen, folks. We're at 58,000 likes to get to 100K. Wifey Tip said, MAGA won't die. Has been around since Reagan. People just don't admit that. Okay, fair enough, but we'll see. I think we're talking about the current carnation of MAGA, which is Donald Trump's hardcore supporters. That's what I'm talking about here when I say MAGA. The idea of MAGA, yes, has been around since Reagan, but Donald Trump brought his own version of it starting in 2015. Eric and Delaria said, MAGA is not dead. MAGA is America first. MAGA is not America only. Isolationism is deadly ideology. Well, there's some people in the MAGA movement who disagree with that, but I get what you're saying. Nick, thanks for the heart me. DB Castro, Cat Dad, thanks for the follow. Eric said, Israel is our greatest ally on the global stage. Okay. I understand. Strategically, you say. Party Mama said, the things that he is doing have nothing to do with supporting his position. Well, what things is he doing, and what's the position are you talking about? I need context there. Jasmine Carter said, interesting thinking. What were you responding to? Roland T. Wyatt said, he's brokering the peace deal with BB. He can hold him accountable. Yes, he can, but what does he need to hold him accountable for? Crofts said, that is true. Thank you. Melanie, thanks for the follow. Ronald T. Wyatt said he doesn't want to have to go through it all again with someone else. Go through what? Jerry said we need term limits for every position. Well, I agree. We've been talking about that for a while around here, and Congress would have to pretty much agree to it. Other than another way they could do it is that every state would have to vote to have a vote on it, and that's not going to happen. Only other way it happens is Congress passes the legislature to fire themselves, which is not going to happen. Just said agrees, and nowadays you can die because of your view. Well, I suppose it's been that way forever. Yes, it's always been that way. Jasmine said, I need to digest that information. Which information? Ronald said he's running against the clock. Everybody's running against the clock. Party Mama said he's only thinking about a fish sandwich. What does that mean? Just said it's fair to give him time to see what he's truly trying to accomplish. Who are you talking about? Marky Man said 3-dimensional chess with the world. Maybe. I mean, people who like him are going to say that's what he's doing. People who don't like him say he's just being dumb. Leah, congrats on the gifted badge and thanks for the lightning balls. Nick89 said politics is a dirty business. Yes, it is. It's a very dirty business. Eric Angelia said the shutdown is bad for Dems. Epstein won't play well for Dems, and the end midterms look good for R. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We're still a year away. Marianne said, I thought you were talking about Chicago parents. I see what you did there.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
Granny Catherine, 1980 said, love your page, Mr. Baldwin. Thank you. Smokey Hill said, oh, when you got to start talking secret code because you can't say somebody's name, you're out of HE. I was out of HE. I say somebody's name in code or don't say their name because I know which names are banned on this app. And if you say their names, then TikTok will either give you a warning or they'll kick you off or they'll stop showing your live streams to more people. So I don't want any of those, so I don't say his name. This is TikTok's platform. Smokey, no, I already answered that one. Kylie, thanks for the share. Eric said, those are libertarian isolationists. He was never MAGA or a Trump supporter. Okay, fair enough. Jerry said, I never take America first as America only. Okay, so a couple of you have offered that clarification that just because it's America first doesn't mean it's only about America. SC Mars said he is focusing on him first. His family wealth has skyrocketed this year. You talking about Donald Trump? That doesn't mean you're focused on yourself first because his family wealth could go up even if he didn't do anything that you didn't like or didn't disagree with. His family wealth would go up to him because he's the president of the United States. He's the most powerful person in the world, and he has the biggest job in the world, literally. If you had the biggest job in the world and everybody in the world knew about you, I would guess your family wealth would skyrocket this year too. Percentage-wise, absolutely it would. So just because his family wealth has increased does not mean he's doing anything wrong, and it doesn't mean he's not focusing on doing his job because his wealth is going to go up one way or another because he already had businesses set up before he got into politics. So your framing is off here. Alicia Sin, thanks for the follow. The old man said, if you're going to speak for America first, get it right. Trump is in Israel's pocket. Well, some say that. Trump has a lot of detractors who use a frame similar to what you just used there. Jaslyn Carter said, in my eyes, Jack Smith did his job. But in my eyes, he did his job too. His job just didn't produce the outcome he was trying to get to achieve. Doing your job doesn't mean you got the outcome. Doing your job is effort. The outcome is a different story. Mimi Melanie said agree. Thank you. And capture on TikTok. K. Marie said, this is the way that enemies remove someone they don't want to run. Yeah, yes, it is. Jaslyn said, say it ain't so. What are you responding to? Kelly say 12, the account. Thanks for the follow. Jaslyn said, show me the man, I'll show you the what? The crime. Show me the man, I will show you the crime. That's the way it works in governmental politics. If they want to get somebody, they'll get you. If they want to get you, they'll get you. Every one of you who's listening to this right now, if you got the attention of the president or somebody, a federal authority who has reach, if they wanted to shut you down, shut you up, or just get your attention, they will find a crime that you've committed. They'll go through your tax returns. They'll find you at traffic light cameras where you ran a red light. They'll find out who you've been around. They'll find every single thing out about you. So they find something they can put on you to go after you. That's the way it works. If you get on the wrong side of the wrong people. K. Marie said, this is the way that enemies remove someone. I already answered that one. Kimber Lynn, thanks for the follow. Artistry Brutal said, bro, you just proved that you are a free thinker. Appreciate you. I don't know what I said, but thank you. Jaslyn Carter said, I woke up happy. This is too much to digest. What did I say? There's too much to digest. Jaslyn said, blind justice depends on whose eyes. The eyes of whoever is administering the justice, i.e. the judge. Artistry said, bro, keep telling the truth. I will. Positive Vibes said, thank you for your daily political breakdown. You're welcome. K. Vincent said, they tried to get Trump and they always lost. That is true. They did try to get him. They tried very hard to get him and they lost. Artistry Brutal, thanks for the follow-up. Jasmine said, money talks, that other thing walks. Okay, I got it. Generally, this is correct. Leah H. Hood joined the fan club. Congratulations, Leah. Thank you for telling people to keep tapping. We're at 70,000 likes, folks. Kay Vincent said they're going to get a lot more when they try to conquer us. What are you talking about? Who's us and who is they? Jasmine said, trying to digest, keep up with your thinking. Well, thank you. Leah, thank you for the lightning bolt, the fest pop, the heart, and Chris Jazz, thank you for the heart and joining the fan club. Vincent Toy Gallery, thank you for the cap. Mimi Melanie said he's doing it for personal reasons. That's not why we voted for him. I wouldn't go that far as even say that. Some people want to see somebody go after their personal whatevers because the fact of the matter is a lot of people just like the voyeurism of watching other people do stuff is interesting enough for them. They can live vicariously through that other person. Same reason people cheer for athletes and entertainers. You want to see them glow, even though it doesn't actually do anything to or for you directly, but people still want to see it. Bonnie said, why did Biden administration send Blinken to Venezuela? Well, you're asking us a red herring, which is not the topic here today. Marky Man said the UK is always sticking their nose in our business and giving an opinion. Well, they're allowed to give an opinion, but formally writing a letter and asking for a pardon is a whole different thing. Johnny said, if they're pointing fingers, you're probably guilty of something else too. Everyone in politics is a POS. Okay, fair enough. Tara Mills said, must have discernment. This is true. Kay Marie says, not within MAGA. Okay. Tara Mills said, both sides are pro-Israel. That I agree with. Anastasia May, thank you for the heart. Kay Marie, I addressed that part about revenge. If you're talking about Donald Trump, then you are grossly inaccurate. He talks about it a lot. Sean said, Trump is not getting reelected. When did I mention Donald Trump getting reelected? Laura said, the auto pen did. Miss Stein said, I confirm. He said his auto pen pardoned. The XCR says, somebody pardoned a bunch of people. Yeah, well, they both did. Biden pardoned a bunch of people. Trump pardoned people after he got in office. Biden pardoned a bunch of people at the end of his office. Miss Stein said, how could Trump be elected again? He's been in 2 terms. Did I say he would get elected again? If I did, that's not what I was aiming to say. What I was talking about was the 2026 midterms, not Donald Trump himself or whoever he pushes as the heir apparent to him come in 2028. So if I said Donald Trump getting elected in 2028 or 2026 is not what I was attempting to communicate. I was communicating him getting Republicans elected in the midterms, number one, and whoever runs after him in 2028. Mary Arizona, thanks for the follow. C8Z06 said MAGA is not about one person. Well, the MAGA movement is galvanized by one person. I know it's not about technically one person, but it's galvanized by one person. Everybody knows who it is. DRB818 said, now administration in power wants to hang politicians for it. For what? Gina Marie said, I think one reason it's a big deal is because it's Trump who wrote the letter, aside from your point. Yes, that's the main reason it's a big deal, Gina. If Trump hadn't written a letter, we wouldn't be talking about it. If somebody else had written a letter, J.D. Vance had written a letter, it would not be a story. Trump writing a letter is what made it a story. Leah said, keep tapping to share the live. Yes, tap the screen, folks. We're at 76,000. Night Owl said, wouldn't prices go down if the cost of fuel gets lowered? Not necessarily. The president doesn't control that, though. The president don't control the cost of fuel either. What they control is the psychology of people, and they can help set the market by he can start going to the people who sell the fuel and get them to lower their prices, but then they got to ask him, okay, how do we make that money back? So the president can't actually do these things. Sherry, thanks for the follow. Jeff K said, BBC, ABC, CBS, why do they get to audit and change the news? The narrative needs to stop. Well, that's literally what they're in the business of doing. That's what they're supposed to do. Willie Sump said, did Jeffries get money for campaign from Jeff Epstein? Somebody alluded to that yesterday, but I don't know. Marcia said, MAGA was promised lower food prices and American jobs. They may feel jilted. Yeah, I understand. But every politician promises a bunch of stuff that they logically cannot do just based on the laws. And secondly, it's puffery. It's selling. It's like getting a used car and the salesperson tells you it's the best car that money can buy. You can't take them to jail for saying that. It's not fraud or deceit. That's called puffery. It is allowed in that space. And in politics, people puff things up all the time. Marty J said, I can't imagine as a business owner what it would have looked like with another Biden or Harris. I agree with you. Anastasia May, thank you for the lightning bolt. Nathan Don, thanks for Rose Shirley. Thanks for joining. Muhammad, thanks for the follow. Nathan Don says, you made me love the hours from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. I appreciate that. Night Owl said, I think there's too many distractions by Democrats making it more difficult for Trump to get, I don't know what you were talking about, to get what? Reginald Valentine, 31. So you're absolutely right. Thank you. Monica Renee said, Colorado. Good morning, Courtney. Thanks for the heart. Dolly Matt, thank you for the heart. And the Go Popular. Chrissy Joe, thanks for the share. Nathan Don said, we need a red air and sound effect, please. Red herring is what we call that. So if there's a sound effect for that, I'll probably use this one.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Tia, thanks for the lightning bolts. Irma V, good morning. Precision Installation said it was a Dr. Jeff Epstein. He was a completely different person. So people were looking through his files and trying to see if he took money from that Jeff Epstein is a different guy. Okay. And the cat said lady in red sound. Well, it can't be an official sound because then they'll give me I'll get a warning from one of these apps or multiple apps for using sounds that don't belong to me. Can we get the likes up, folks? We're at 80,000 likes. I usually do these lives from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. So those of you who don't know, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. is when I do these lives. You want to work with me directly in my mastermind, my Power Presence Mastermind with me as your direct personal coach, go to the link in my profile. I'm going to sit around and see if there's any more comments to come through here. I got through all the comments, so maybe this wasn't a hot enough topic to get a lot of commentary. I understand. But next week we'll be back with more stuff anyway. So this is the normal way things go. Sometimes there's a lot of things to be said on it. Sometimes there's not. I'm giving y'all a few minutes to see if anybody has some other comments. Did y'all see this story that this guy Pablo Torre did I guess what he calls an investigative journalism thing on Riley Gaines. And I guess he calls this him exposing something, but he didn't really expose anything. So I'm just trying to figure out what the hell he's trying to expose. He's exposing, quote unquote, that Riley Gaines wasn't a big Trump supporter before that whole thing with the man in the women's swim pool during the national championships. I say, so what? Somebody can go from not being a Trump supporter to being one, and you can go from being one to not being one just because she changed. That's not news. Then he was saying, well, she does all these speaking gigs and she got all this donor money, and say, okay, you're a political figure. That's what happens. You do speaking gigs and get donor money. That's normal. And there was one other thing. One of her teammates, they were saying that her swim coach from college, he has assault allegations of the sexual nature, and that Riley Gaines doesn't talk much about him or bash him at all. She actually said he was one of her best friends when he was her swim coach. So clearly he didn't assault her, but because he assaulted other people and he's been charged with it, that she not speaking out about him undermines her argument about men being in a swimming pool. I say, no, it doesn't. I don't agree with any of that. So Pablo Torre, I like what he did with the whole LA Clippers thing, but this one is not journalism. This is him. Pablo Torre seems to be a person on the political left, and Clay Travis basically laid it out properly. What Clay Travis said about him was accurate. And let me see if I can find what he posted. Clay Travis said, Pablo Torre is a coward on this issue. There's only two things that are possible, and I agree with Clay. He said either one, he agrees that men should not be allowed to compete in women's sports, but he doesn't want to say it because the left-wingers who are his supporters will be mad at him. I'm paraphrasing him. That's either option one is that Pablo knows men shouldn't be in women's sports, but he won't say it because he got a left-wing support. He has a lot of left-wing support. He's scared to say so. Or option two, Pablo thinks men should be able to compete in women's sports, but he's too much of a coward to say that because he knows it's absurd and ridiculous, and no sports reporter should be arguing that. So he claims that he's a journalist who's investigating what he really is a political activist executing a hit job. So this whole Riley Gaines story was a hit job by Pablo Torre. That I agree with. This is a hit job. It's just a hit piece on Riley Gaines. They're just trying to throw some dirt on her name and make her look bad. And they didn't actually expose anything. You call yourself a journalist doing investigative journalism. You didn't investigate anything. All they investigated was, Riley Gaines didn't used to be a Trump supporter, and her swim coach has sexual assault allegations. So Riley Gaines, therefore, is not credible because your swim coach, who you like, has assault allegations. What are you actually doing here, Pablo? Ridiculous. But anyway, that's just something I was noticing this morning. Stephen Albert, good morning. Van Gilot said, what's the topic? We were talking about is MAGA dead, but the conversation we already got through that and answered all the questions. So I was just giving y'all a minute or two to see if there were any other comments here. Mary M said, what do I think about Trump and Vance not being invited to the funeral or the Dick Cheney funeral? Well, I understand why they weren't invited because he became Donald Trump became a very staunch detractor of Dick Cheney and his daughter, Liz Cheney, because Dick Cheney obviously was on the political right. He was the VP to W. Bush, right? And then his daughter, Liz Cheney, of course, she was on the political right, but I guess she didn't like Trump so much that she jumped over to the left. So then Donald Trump and JD Vance just bashed Liz Cheney because Liz Cheney was bashing Donald Trump. She co-sign Kamala Harris in the 2024 election? Is that true? Did that happen? I want to make sure I'm getting my people right. Isn't that the thing that Liz Cheney co-signed Kamala Harris in the 2024 election? So Donald Trump bashed her, which he should do. And now Dick Cheney, her dad, died, and they didn't invite Donald Trump and JD Vance to the funeral. So I say, sounds about right. That's what I would expect. So Marky Man said, your feelings on the BBC scandal of editing Trump's speech. Oh, they need to pay. I hope Trump sues them, or they just got to pay him. They pay him without him suing them, or he sues them and they pay him that way. But they got to pay. I heard that edit, Marky Man, what they did. They edited the audio or the video to make it look like Trump was saying one thing. He was saying something completely different. It was very, not even clever. I can't even call the editing clever. Anybody who knows heard that full speech that Donald Trump gave in D.C. on January 6, 2021, the Stop the Steal speech, you know he said certain things in a certain way. Specifically, he said, we're going to march to the Capitol peacefully and patriotically. Those three words saved his ass on anything anybody could say that he was staging an insurrection or telling people to go do something wrong. He literally said, march to the Capitol. Marching is allowed. Peaceful protest is allowed. And he said, peacefully and patriotically. Saying that alone eliminates any argument of he staged an insurrection or he told his followers to go and overthrow the government and all that bullshit people are saying. So the BBC edited the audio or the video to make it seem like he was saying something other than what I just explained. And then they put it out. And then Donald Trump let them know, hey, I'm going to sue you if y'all don't do something about that. And he still holds the option to maybe sue. I think he should sue them because he sued other outlets for doing similar things, and he should sue them and they need to pay. So that's the answer to your question. Stephen Albert, thank you for the lightning bolt. We're at 89,000 likes, folks. Can we get to 100K? I'll stay here to get to 100K likes. And if there's no other topics to discuss, then we'll wrap it up. But let's get to 100K. We're at 89,000, folks. Can you tap the screen, please? Tap the screen. Let's get the likes up. Brooke Martello, good morning. Stephen Albert says, I'm having some real trouble doing my homework. Keeps throwing me out of the videos. I don't know how you get thrown out of a video. That maybe check your connection. But I don't think there's anything up with our sites. I don't know what you mean by that. Laura Iggy Lover said, yes, that's what I thought. Notorious Fly, like I said, MAGA is alive. Trump is MAGA. He's the one who left the MAGA movement. Okay. That's kind of what we've been talking about here today. Notorious Fly Liker. That's the point. Is that people are saying that Donald Trump came out with MAGA, but now he looks to be going more MAGA. So there's a different thing. Manny Jr. said, he also said, go over there and fight like hell. What does that really mean? Come on, excuses. Fight like hell? Well, fight. First of all, you can't overthrow the government with a fight. And you can't overthrow the government with your fists, number one, Manny Jr. Number two, fighting can be you can fight in court. All right, you can fight with your spouse in an argument. So fighting doesn't mean overthrow the government. And remember that the burden of proof is on the accuser, not on the person being accused. So Manny Jr. 55, you're the one who had to do the explaining. What does it really mean? If he says fight like hell, you're telling me that fight like hell means try to overthrow the government, and it means break into the Capitol building, and it means destroy the Constitution. If you're saying that's what it means, it is you, not I or anyone else, who had to prove that that's true. And if you can't prove it, you can allude to it. You can build an argument around it, but you can't prove it. Since you can't prove it, then the argument dies on the floor of the courts. So let me pull out my soundboard for you, simply because you even tried this.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
There's no excuse for the person who is accused. There are excuses for the accuser. The accused and the accuser are not on equal footing. The accuser must prove, not the accused. The accused doesn't have to prove anything. The accuser must prove guilt. So, Manny, if you got any substance on that, go ahead and offer it. And if I need to pull my soundboard out to help you out, then I shall do so. Let's see what you got. Jay Rocker said, which is stochastic terrorism. Yeah, right. Nice try.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Christy, thank you for the Go Popular. Brooke Martello, good morning. Well, Heck said the Dems have also said fight. Are they evil? Yeah, of course. All people talk about fighting all the time. So how people all of a sudden now they want to stress the word fighting into this means an insurrection? Like, please. It's been 5 years, folks. I gotta let it go. It's almost 6 years later. No, it was 2021. It's been 4 years. Almost 5 years. I gotta let this go. Some of y'all got so much TDS, y'all still trying to make this argument 4 or 5 years later. It's over. It's over. All right, let's see. Mary said, have you heard any interesting things on the Epstein emails? Anybody about someone named Bubba? I heard people saying that. The thing is, people say that Epstein he often used hyperbole. He talked a lot of shit, and that's the kind of person that he was. So yeah, I've heard about that. But the emails, they got a 30-day window before the emails actually come out. They might use all of those 30 days. So it'll be a while before something else comes out. But again, as I already asserted, there will be nothing in those emails. People get all excited about it, but nothing's going to come out of it. It's not going to be anything worth talking about coming out of those emails. Actually, it'll be plenty worth talking about, but nothing solid. It'll be a whole bunch of TDS holders trying to use whatever they see to try to make a story where there is no story, which is what TDS pretty much is. Steven, send an email over to us and we'll take a look at that and see what the issue is. Manny Jr. said, come on, it can mean that. What does the word fight mean? There were many people fighting coups. What? I didn't get the end of your sentence there. You said it could mean that. What does the word fight mean? Okay. Are you asking the question, what does the word fight mean? Let's pull out the dictionary. Let's find out what the word fight means. So we're going to answer this question for Manny. He's asking what the word fight means because maybe he doesn't know. It means... And let's pull it up in Merriam-Webster. Merriam-Webster definition of the word fight: to contend in battle or physical combat, to engage in boxing, to put forth a determined effort, to contend against, in, or as if in battle or physical combat, to attempt to prevent the success or effectiveness of, to oppose the passage or development of, to take part in, to struggle or endure or surmount, to gain by struggle. All of these things are definitions of the word fight. Okay, so now you know what the word fight means. So now, again, it is you who has to build your case, not throw out possibilities and then say, well, hey, prove me wrong. No, you got to prove yourself right. You're the one making the accusation. So looking like you don't have the ability to do that. So let me hit the soundboard for you again.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Lori Cicchetti. Steven, send an email over to us and give us the link to the page you're having an issue on. We'll get it fixed. Same email you got. Any email you got from us, all you got to do is reply back to that email. We'll get it fixed. Lori Cicchetti said they're trying to start a civil war. There will be no civil war. Most people on the left don't like having a gun anyway. How are you going to have a war with no guns? They're doing a verbal civil war on the internet, but not a real civil war. The right will win that one pretty easily. If it was just people against people, the right will win that war. So I don't think the left wants that. I'll say it. Thanks for the follow. J Rocker said, you're the one who made the topic. Yeah, the topic is MAGA Dead. We're not talking about, I think what you were referring to was the January 6th thing. I was responding to somebody's comment on that. Shaw said, bro, all that chat just to find out Epstein didn't even like Trump. No, Epstein did like Trump. Epstein and Trump fell out because Trump told Epstein, you can't come to my resort anymore because I don't like what you and your accomplice are doing, talking to the daughters of my friends and to my female staff. That's why he excommunicated from Epstein, but they were friends before that. Have you ever had a friend that you're not friends with anymore? I mean, people are acting like this is some brand new thing. Jessica White said, all y'all got Kamala DS, Kamala derangement syndrome. Jessica, Kamala derangement syndrome. Actually, you're right. People do have Kamala derangement syndrome, and they executed their KDS instead of TDS. You saying KDS? The entire country of America executed their KDS on November 6th, 2024. It was November 5th, 2024. So any KDS anybody had, they got cured of it on November 5th when they chose to not have her become president. So why is anybody deranged about her? She didn't win the election. So Jessica, nice try. Actually, that's not even a nice try. I can't even give you a nice try for that. You gotta come with something better than this.
Emotional, damn it.
Marky Man, she's not a content creator. I am. Stephen Albert, thanks you for the gifter badge. Brooke Martella, level 13 gift. Shaw said, all the chat about the PDF file just to find out Epstein. You already left that comment. Manny Jr. said, police. What about police? So my point is, it can mean many things. You're dancing around what my point is. Manny Jr., I'm not dancing around your point. Your point is just not well laid out here. And I can't dance around your point. Your point's clear. There's no way to dance around it. I'm just reading exactly what you said. And then Manny said, there you go, physical injury. Exactly. Yeah, it's like 12 different definitions. So you pick that one. Again, you had to prove if there's an insurrection, physical injury is not an insurrection. If I punch you in the face, you're physically injured. Does that mean I've taken over your entire country and I overthrew your government? That's not. That doesn't prove anything. And you're picking and choosing which definition you want to use. That doesn't prove an insurrection. The thing with Trump was he tried to overthrow the government, and it stays an insurrection. So if someone gets physically injured, that's not overthrowing the government. It's not an insurrection. And people did get injured on January 6th. There were physical battles on January 6th, and guess what? Trump did not get convicted of insurrection. So what point are you trying to make? They tried to do this and it failed. So you're trying to relitigate something that was already litigated and already proven in favor of Donald Trump. So where are you trying to go with this? You're trying to a double jeopardy here, which is not allowed under the Constitution. Ashley Mack said, we may have terrorist attack from sleeper cells, but not civilian war. All right, fair enough. J. Rocker said, just like people exercise the same thing in 2020 with Trump. Well, not really, because the 2020, the way I see the 2020, you may have a different opinion. Looks like you do. The way I see the 2020 election was that virus had the economy in shambles and nobody knew what the hell to do. So the economy was used against him. And Joe Biden did not win the election because people wanted Joe Biden. They won the election because they were able to gain enough groundswell of animus against Donald Trump. And then 4 years later, it got proven that people were not over Trump. Here he is, president all over again. So Kamala Harris has won 0 elections and 0 nominations. Donald Trump has won 2 elections and 3 nominations. So for you to try to equate Kamala Harris to Donald Trump is ridiculous.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Katarina said that girl's comment of KDS, that was just a race car pull. That's all that is. So maybe it was a race. She didn't mention race. And maybe she's just a supporter of Kamala Harris. It's fine to be a supporter of Kamala Harris. I mean, she ain't going anywhere politically. So now you want to support her, go ahead. Now, she's not even going to win the Democrat nomination in 2028. She has to go through an entire primary process. She's not going to win. I've said this 100 times since November. She's not going to win. November of last year, that is. She won't beat Gavin Newsom. I don't even think she could beat AOC if AOC is able to build up her platform enough. Right now, it'd be her versus Newsom, Kamala versus Newsom, and Newsom's going to win if it was today. But Kamala's never winning a Democratic nomination. She's not going to do it. So if you're a Kamala supporter, go ahead and support. I don't know how you can support. I guess you go buy her book or something like that. But other than that, what else are you going to do? Manny said, I never said about insurrection. My point is that when the president says something like that, many people injured, a few died pointless. No, that's a straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Maybe if some people got injured, I don't know the exact number of injuries, and injuries have levels. Nobody died on January 6th, Manny. So what you're saying shows that you don't even know what you're talking about. You're just throwing things out there, and your TDS is showing. Cover yourself up.
Emotional, damn it.
TSF, if I tell someone to fight for their marriage, I'm not saying to beat up their spouse. Yes, exactly. Because there are like 12 different definitions of the word fight. So just because Donald Trump said fight like hell, Democrats say fight all the time. So now all of a sudden, because Trump said the word, now fight means something terrible. But if somebody else says fight, then it's okay. Camilo said Epstein didn't buy his island until 98. The last documented fight on Epstein's plane, January 97. Okay. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm just entering your comment into the record. Black Scorpio said, where did you get that info about Trump and his friend trying to take work girls? Donald Trump said it himself. And it was said during depositions by others that Donald Trump stopped dealing with Epstein because Epstein was approaching his staff and approaching daughters of his friends at Mar-a-Lago, where he used to be invited. And Donald Trump approached Ghislaine Epstein and said, hey, stop doing that. They didn't stop, and he told me I can't come here anymore. That's when they stopped being friends. And Trump called Epstein a creep. He has said that. You can find clips of him calling him a creep. And around this time period, and after that, Jeff Epstein used to send emails and messages to his friends, like Ghislaine Maxwell, talking shit about Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump was the president at this point by the time many of those emails came out. And he was just bashing Donald Trump because he didn't like him anymore. Because Donald Trump was his friend, and Donald Trump's a powerful guy. They probably know a lot of the same people, and Epstein was trying to bash him, trying to make Trump look bad to other people. Again, has any of you ever used to be friends with somebody and that person start talking shit about you to other people that y'all both know, trying to make you look bad because they're mad that y'all ain't cool anymore? Is this new? Has any of you never experienced this? You think just because it's Jeff Epstein and Donald Trump that they're not, that can't happen in that same relationship? Same thing happened. Anyway, Epstein's dead anyway, so I mean, how are we going to confirm any of this? Stephen, thank you for the DJ glasses. Marie, thank you for the lightning bolt. J Rocket said, so you find any reason to justify something you want to believe? Didn't say anything about Kamala. Who didn't? Somebody left a comment, said Kamala derangement syndrome. I wasn't talking about your comment. I don't know what you're referring to there. Murray, thank you for the lightning bolt. Michelle, good morning. Tara Mill said, nobody died on January 6th. That's correct. Nobody died on January 6th. Or at least not anybody who was being attacked by Trump supporters. Let's just put it that way. Oh, Ashley Babbitt did die. That is somebody who did. Ashley Babbitt, but she was on the Trump side, and she was jumping through a window somewhere, which is stupid to do. Then the security guard shot her. She didn't have a gun, so I don't know why he shot her. But she's the only person who died, and she was on the Trump side. Nobody on the defending the Capitol side died on January 6th. But a lot of people threw that out there, and a lot of people still believe it to this day, even though it's factually inaccurate. A. Gapanis said, only reason Kamala was nominated last cycle was the money donated to Biden. Yeah, they would have had to get the money back if she wasn't the nominee. Kamala, I don't even consider her to be nominated. Technically, she was, but when I say nominated, I mean go through a full primary and beat all the competitors. Kamala will not do that. That's not going to happen. Rick Thomas says, speaking of books, what do you recommend this AM? I recommend Power Presence Protocol. I'm not always going to give you all a different book. I'm going to recommend the Power Presence Protocol. This is the book you need to get. You don't need to buy this book. Actually, you can't buy this book, but you can get it when you're a member of my mastermind. The link is in my profile. Again, Power Presence is all about mastering the 85% of communication that is nonverbal, your internal discipline, your confidence, your belief in yourself, having all your shit together, your ducks in a row, internally, in the dark, where people don't see it at all, comes together, coalesce into one signal that we call presence. And people can feel that in you. They make a snap judgment about you within the first 10 seconds of engaging with you before you say a single word. That is a presence. You want that to start working in your favor because 85% of your communication is that signal. So if you want that working in your favor, get into the Power Presence Mastermind. Have me as your direct coach, and I will coach you on how to use it, not only in your personal life, but also your career, your business life. So this is the book that I recommend, and you can't even buy it. Most of the time, I'm not going to recommend, it's not going to be a brand new book every time. But if you have a certain topic, Rick, that you're asking about, I can recommend you a specific book. It doesn't have to be one of mine. The Sunshine and Whiskey said, I love the soundboard. Me too. J Rocket said, you dismiss sarcastic terrorism when it's actually a term. I didn't say it wasn't a term. So your straw man is me saying that I dismiss it as if it's not a term. I agree that it is a term. It's not terrorism. It's you reaching 4 or 5 years later for something that has already been case closed.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Yeah, so that girl got shot. So Ashley Babbitt got shot. She was on the MAGA side. When people say a bunch of people died, what they're usually referring to, y'all tell me if I got this right or wrong, what they're usually referring to is Trump supporters went there and they did all this damage and people died because of Trump supporters attacking. It was actually a Trump supporter who got shot and died, not anybody on the other side. Duck said, y'all, where was I? Y'all read the story about the crazy Democrat who faked a politically motivated attack. I heard about it, but there's not enough substance there for me to go into it. A. Gapanis said, if Kamala was not nominated last cycle, must give back donors money. Yes, exactly. Well, if she wasn't officially the nominee, I mean, she didn't win the primary, but since she's connected to Biden, she got to use the money. Remen said, why is the left proclaiming that MAGA is dead? It's people on the right proclaiming that, Remen. It's not people on the left. It's people on the right. People on the left are saying it too, but people on the right started it. Tara Mills said Trump told on him. That's why Epstein wanted to get Trump. Okay, there's an argument. J. Rocker said, how do you know that it happened the way that Trump said? You chose to believe it because you want. Well, there's only two people involved, Epstein and Trump. Epstein's dead. So the only word we have is Trump's word. What word do you have that we can go against that? You only got two people. One of them's dead, so you only got the word of the other person. Michelle, thank you for the hand hearts. Brandy said, there are people who died on January 6th defending the Capitol. No, there were not. Brandy, that's not true. Toga says, any way to move past the Epstein stuff? Not really. You mean here in this chat, or you mean as a general point in life? In this chat, yes, it'll be over as soon as we get done with this live. And as a general point in life, people are never going to stop talking about it because they don't like Donald Trump. As long as Trump is in office, people will bring up Epstein. That's guaranteed happening. Cindy B, thanks for the heart. Alyssa, thanks for the follow. J. Rocker said, read definition like you did for the other terms. I don't need to. I don't need to read the definition of every word that somebody throws out into the chat. Again, if you think Donald Trump committed some form of terrorism, why was he not convicted? Wasn't he brought to trial for these things? Wasn't he charged with these things? Didn't he get charges for all this stuff? Somebody fill me in the comments. Did Donald Trump not have the political left come after him for what happened on January 6th and try to get him incarcerated for what happened on January 6th? Did they not charge him? Did they not look into him? Did they not try to bring charges? Did they not try to incarcerate him and try to take Donald Trump through the legal ringer for what happened on January 6th? Give me a yes or a no in the comments. Did the political left try to get Donald Trump for January 6th? I'm not saying he went through the entire legal proceeding, but did they not try? Give me a yes or a no in the comments. I just want to make sure something that I think happened did indeed happen. But if it didn't happen, somebody let me know. So okay, so there you go, Jay Rocker. The chat is letting me know the same thing they already let you know. They already tried. So if you believe he's guilty of terrorism, then you need to call up Special Counsel Jack Smith and Joe Biden and the DOJ and I guess Tish James and Alvin Bragg and Fannie Willis. And you need to get your legal team together and you can bring charges against Donald Trump if you're so sure that your claim is correct. Otherwise, I guess you're trying to look for a moral victory. But moral victories are the domain of losers. I'm not calling you a loser, but you're throwing these things out here like, oh, well, hey, you committed terrorism, and here, read the definition as if that proves anything. What do you gain? They already tried. Leah said, thank you guys for getting to 100K likes and reaching the goal. Yes, thank you, Leah, for pushing people to get the likes up. We're at 127,000. Jessica White says, so Trump supporter shot another Trump supporter. Wow. Jessica, is that a serious comment that you're leaving? A Trump supporter got shot by a security guard working in the Capitol building, Jessica. I'm not sure if you're joking or you really don't know what you're talking about. But since you said there's Kamala derangement syndrome, then I'm going to assume it's the latter. You don't really know what you're talking about. So you get a
Strawberry cheesecake.
Enjoy your slice of strawberry cheesecake. Ashley Max said, can we start a group coaching through menopause? Could get some friends to sign up. I'm not qualified to coach anybody through that. But I can coach you on the Power Presence Protocol. Stephen said, we have to think for ourselves and look into things a little deeper after hearing about them. Well, Stephen, keep dreaming. That's not how people operate. Jay Rocker said, you're choosing to believe it without questioning it. You question other things. Choosing to believe what? What are you referring to? If someone says something happened and it's a story between just two people and one of those people is dead and can't speak on it, and the only thing we have is what the other person says, I told you what he said. I didn't say, hey, I believe it. I said, this is what Trump said. They stopped being friends because this happened. Trump said it happened and the other guy's dead. So what else are we going to go off of? Where else can you get information if it happened between two people and one of them's dead? You only go off of what one person said. Whether I believe it or not is irrelevant. This is what Trump said. And again, who cares whether I believe it or not? What does that matter? Is there a legal case around why they're not friends anymore? Does it actually matter? I didn't know you had to legally prove why you're not friends with somebody. Jay Rocky, you're reaching at straws here. I think you're running out of material. It's Friday. I understand.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Dolphin said, we have testimony of victims along with Trump's word. Yes, we do. Marky Man, they said MAGA was dead after he lost the 2020 election. Yeah, they say it every month. They come up with a new reason that it's dead. So this is the new one. Carolyn said there were police officers who took their own lives allegedly as a result of January 6th. Allegedly, yes, but it was after January 6th. It wasn't that day. So Gina Marie said they did. Nana Cat said the J6 committee. Yeah, I know. I know this existed. I just wanted to verify. I just wanted to be sure. People are still trying to relitigate this, or in their own minds, I guess, 5 years later. This is TDS. Steven said they continue to try to this day. Well, they're not really trying. They're just throwing things out there. This is assuaging their own emotions. Jay Rocker said they can't incarcerate him while he's the president. Dude, January 6, 2021 happened. He stopped being president like 2 weeks later. They had 4 years to incarcerate him. They tried. Do you watch TV? You got the internet where you live? Michelle said, yes, they tried to get him for January 6th while he was the former president. Yeah, I know I'm not crazy. I know I'm not crazy. Jay Rocker said, I'm countering points that you're trying to make. Well, you don't want to try to counter a point just for the sake of countering the point. You only counter a point if you actually disagree with it or you think the point is factually incorrect or logically incorrect. But if you're countering it just for the sake of countering it, that's called trolling. So don't be a troll just because you don't have anything better to do. Don't do that. Elena said he incites violence for sure. Who's he? Who are you talking about? And what is your evidence? Black Scorpio said, I need some cheesecake. Here you go.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Move makers. Yeah, I saw that. Prize got that 14 years. I saw that this morning. That's crazy. I didn't know about that. Nana Cat said, how about those congressmen telling military to go against authority? We might talk about that. I did see that ad that those Congress people put out that you must resist all illegal orders or something like that. But there were no orders given. So what the hell are they talking about? They just came out of nowhere with that. This is TDS. A lot of these people in Congress, the government people have TDS. So y'all think everyday people have TDS. People in the government have TDS. The people who we're supposed to be trusting to make the laws and the rules. They're crazy. Jay Rocker said, you're framing it as if it's a fact that he dismissed Epstein. I'm not framing anything. I just told you exactly where I got it from. Trump said it, and I told you what he said. I didn't say it's a fact. I said this is what Trump said. What Trump said is a fact. Trump said this. Now, if Trump is completely lying, okay, maybe he is. Who's going to prove it? Jeff Epstein's dead. I'm saying this is what he said. It is a fact that Donald Trump said this is the reason why me and Epstein are not friends anymore. And again, whether it's true or not, even if Donald Trump is absolutely lying is not a crime. So again, you're reaching. I know it's Friday. I get it. Karina said, just to find out his January 6th was altered, SMH's arrest needed to be made. Well, it was the BBC. They didn't commit a crime, but Donald Trump can sue them. So that's why he might sue them. He's holding out the option of suing them. So we'll see. Elena said January 6th as proof, and I'm talking about DT. So what was it that you said that I was responding to? You said he incites violence for sure. Elena, they had an entire congressional setup or a Department of Justice setup to try to prove that what you're asserting here, and it was not proven. So again, if you accuse somebody of a crime, you got to prove it. They already tried to prove this, Elena, and they failed. Do you not pay attention to that? Do you ignore it? Do you just want to believe what you want to believe? What are you saying here? They tried to prove that Donald Trump incited an insurrection on January 6th, and they tried to prove it. They had 4 years to do it. He wasn't president anymore, and they failed. So why did many of you keep us trying to assert this? Again, this is TDS. Let it go. It's over. I understand that you might not like Donald Trump, but you got to let things go. Anyway, Dolphin says the fact that no direct communication between Epstein and Trump at the early 2000s have surfaced softer as of yet. Okay, fair enough. Elena says, so then what about the convictions? What convictions? Of who? Beast, thanks for the follow. Tara Mills said Trump wasn't even charged with insurrection. I know they put the whole thing together trying to find a way to get him, and they couldn't get him because there was nothing there. Well, there was something there. I mean, I say it was nothing there. There was something there because they made it something, but they couldn't make it stick because legally they couldn't get it through. Karina said, my son wants a strawberry cheesecake. There you go.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Appreciate you, Stephen Albert. Randy Johnson, thanks for the follow. Andrea Levitt, thank you for liking the live. All right, we'll go one more minute here. I was waiting for Elena to come back in with this. She said, what about the convictions? I don't know what she's talking about, but let's assume, Elena, you're talking about, I'll answer a couple more. answer a question that you didn't clarify. I'm assuming you're talking about people who got convicted for. Oh, here it is. Then, as you tell me, you don't listen either because the convictions prove the point of inciting violence. That's false, Elena. That is a straw man. And this is the last one I'll address, then we'll wrap this up.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Okay, so let's break this down logically, Elena. I'm going to give you a logic lesson here. So you're saying that the convictions, the people who got convicted for January 6th, let's say it was about 1,500 people. About 1,500 people got charged on January 6th. Not Donald Trump. 1,500 people of all the people who came to the Capitol. And they were charged with misdemeanors, felonies, trespassing, not inciting, but what's the word? Trespassing. I said maybe some of them got like assault charges or no battery charges for fighting security guards, stuff like that. That's what happened with January 6th. And a bunch of people did get convicted. People getting convicted of doing the wrong thing does not mean they were incited by Donald Trump to do the wrong thing. If I was to go outside right now and beat somebody up, I might get an assault and battery charge. That doesn't mean that you incited me to do it, even though I was just talking to you 2 minutes before I did it. So your logic is off here. Just because Donald Trump gave a speech and then a bunch of people who heard the speech went and committed a crime does not mean Donald Trump made them commit the crime. He did not incite them to do the crime. They chose to do the crime. That's the reason why they went to jail and he did not go to jail. And Donald Trump, when he became president, he pardoned those people. You didn't talk about this, but he pardoned those people because they got overcharged. My belief is they got overcharged for what they did. If you trespass, yes, you get something, but a trespassing is usually a misdemeanor, is a slap on the wrist. You might get 30, 60 days in jail. Let's say you trespass at a federal building, you might get 90 days, you might get 6 months. These people got years for that. So they all got overcharged. So when Donald Trump pardoned them, again, this is not something any of you brought up, it's okay for him to pardon them. And you saying that it's proof that they incited because they got convicted. That doesn't even make any logical sense. So your TDS is showing. And many of you here in these comments who have TDS, the more you talk, the more obvious it becomes that you don't even understand how to logically put together an argument. And because of your TDS, your emotions are talking, but your logic stayed home today. Marky Man, appreciate you. Karina said, people get arrested for simply being on premises or drone recording from far away. Karina said, no due process either. Yes, many of them people sat in jail without even getting to see a judge. Nick said Donald Trump did the exact opposite of incite. He said the bars down there peacefully and patriotically was his exact terms, and you're correct. I brought that up earlier. Trainer OG, thanks for the follow. J Rocker, you're reaching for attention. I know it's Friday. I get it. This is like the third time I said it to you. So everybody, we're at 9:58 a.m. Belfort said you want a new product. All right, we'll get into the circle. Our next call is coming up in a couple weeks. So with all that, folks, I do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern to 10 a.m. Eastern. So if you like this one, come back on Monday. The topic, we don't know. It depends on what happens over the weekend. We'll see what comes up. And what else? Thank you to all the supporters in here, the commentators, the detractors, the disagreeers, the strawberry cheesecake receivers, the gifters. Thank you everybody for the gifts and the likers. We got 141,000 likes in here today. So these lives usually 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern. If we're not going to be live, I'll tell you. I know we won't be live on Thanksgiving. So next Thursday is Thanksgiving. We won't be live that day. But next Friday, I might go live on Friday. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. We might be off Thursday and Friday of next week, and we're definitely going to be off Thursday. That one I can promise you. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll be here as usual next week. I'll let y'all know about Thursday and Friday on Wednesday. So by Wednesday, I'll have decided if we're going to go live on Friday. Thursday, definitely off. So everybody will enjoy their Thanksgiving. But next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we will be here. So I'll see everybody 8 a.m. Eastern Monday. Everyone have a great weekend. Work on your game. Oh, yeah. Tap the link in my profile. Excuse me. You want to get into the Power Presence Protocol. Have me as your direct coach. 85% of communication is nonverbal. How do you master it? We get into Power Presence Mastermind. We'll send you this manual after you get into the Mastermind. The Mastermind is the real thing. This is just an add-on. And this is already 381 pages. We're not playing games around here. Y'all want to master that communication, step up your leadership, your presence, your authority, and leave an imprint, which allows you to make more sales and move yourself forward faster. Get into the protocol. Link is in my profile. Everybody have a great Friday, great weekend. Work on your game. We out of here.